All right, so we're ready to start. Excelente, excelente. So thank you all for coming. Actually, this morning while I was having my tea, I memorized your phone numbers. So just to kind of give you a demonstration of how you can be using these ancient accelerated learning methods, not just for languages, but for pretty much anything in your day-to-day life. So, I mean, we'll see. Normally it's a little bit more challenging with 10, 12 people, but we'll see. So actually, maybe I won't mention the last few numbers. Maybe I'll write them down so people can't follow you guys.
We're all in the same chat.
Oh, but if it's being recorded.
Yeah, for the viewers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, pardon?
Give me my Canadian number.
Oh, I don't know you have a Canadian number. So, well, you're so plus 521984217. We can blurt that one out. Vero, you're plus 1512779. Correcto. Jack, plus 1561720. Excelente. Lada, plus 1403608. Excelente. And Sam, plus 155. Oh, give me a sec, actually. Sam. 563340.
Yep.
Excelente. So,
I can't even remember the name.
the funny thing about this is, so every time I try to do some of this, I have no idea if it's going to work or not, and I just accept it. I say maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, and it almost always works. So you need to have that release of control. When you realize that the control that you thought that you had is an illusion, you actually have much more control over situations. So the more that you're trying to grasp onto learning words, and you're afraid of letting go, you're afraid of forgetting something, actually you're much more likely to forget it. Who would be very excited and happy if you left here on Sunday after 15 hours being able to handle a basic conversation? Raise your hand. But who would be very happy if everybody else also left here being able to have a basic conversation? Raise your hand. Who would be happy if everybody also reached that point? Right? So the point is that we're all here together to learn, right? So in order to learn, as I mentioned earlier, we need to make mistakes. We need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And the beautiful thing about vulnerability is it's going to help you to learn a lot faster, but it also, what's your natural instinct when you see somebody struggling? To help them, right? So we have this chemical serotonin that's being produced in our brain, which is actually helping us to connect with people. So it's an essential part of communication, of relationships, of life. When you see somebody struggle, your instinct is to help. And when you're struggling, they're helping, and you're creating a bond. You're creating a moment. So we need to allow ourselves to make plenty of mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the better you'll learn, actually. Because experience is a series of unrepeated mistakes, and we learn through them. So feel free to make plenty of mistakes. Basically, when I'm going to ask you to translate something, I would encourage you to just not think about it too much. Just give whatever answer comes to mind, whatever is your instinct, your intuition, just blurt it out. Don't worry, it doesn't matter if it sounds stupid, or if it's completely wrong, or if it's French, or if it's Russian, just whatever comes out is fine. Now, if it's wrong, or if you really just can't think of anything, then take a moment. Maybe breathe slowly, take your time, and think about it. So that the weird thing about time is it's very relative. They say that the length of 5 minutes depends on which side of the bathroom door you're on. Right? Or somebody said something about time is relative. So, but basically, if you're in your head, you think that it took you a minute to come up with an answer, To the person who's listening to you, who's like hoping that you get the answer right, they probably felt it as like 10 seconds. So in reality, it was probably like 20, right? So either person is wrong, but you're very wrong. So, but take that to your advantage, because if you know that if in your head a minute actually is like 20 seconds in real life, then take that minute. Take your time, enjoy that minute. You can explore your brain, think about maybe a connection that we made, an association, maybe a movement, right? So I'm going to incorporate a lot of different things into the course. You don't need to think about it, but it's going to connect with you in different ways, right? The way that I repeat things or the way that I move, it's going to create specific memories. So just try to find those, try to think about those. If you still can't come up with it, I'll give you some hints, I'll give you some clues, I'll guide you along. If you still can't figure it out, there's the door. Joking, I give you the answer, and we move on, right? There's nobody in any life or death situation here. Nobody's in any danger. When you're out on the street, just try to just throw things and hope that something sticks, right? When I was learning Spanish, I was inventing 10 words, and I would get 2 right, and I was like, yeah, I got 2 right, right? And by being excited about the 2 that you got right and not thinking about the 2 you got wrong, then very, very quickly that 2 turns into 4. That 4 turns into 5. Then the 5 turns into 6. And when you get to 6, that's a pass. If you're getting 6 words out of 10 right, that's a pass. Some friends of mine were saying, Phil, why the hell you're always inventing words? That doesn't exist. I say, well, you caught me here, but you missed the last 6. So I will not stop inventing words. So we're not actually going to learn Spanish. So I'm not actually a Spanish teacher. So we're going to learn the subtle art of BSing Spanish, of improvising, of creating Spanish, right? Because imagine if you had to carry around all that knowledge with you, always ready to go, right? You're better off just having access to creating it, to figuring it out, to have a trick. So, how many words do you think that you need to speak Spanish? So actually, in the English language, there's about 200,000 to 300,000 words. Out of those words, how many words do you think are used in an everyday conversation? 2,000? Okay, good guess. Good guess. It's actually less.
750.
Good guess. It's actually 600. So in any given language, we have our active vocabulary and our passive vocabularies. The active vocabulary is what we're going to be using every single day, right? Every single day in every conversation they're going to be coming up. In any language, it's between 500 and 1,500 words. Now in Spanish and in English and in French, we're looking at around 600. They actually took an old New York newspaper and they scanned all the words, and there was just about 600 words that were just being repeated. So don't get me wrong, in our passive vocabulary, we probably have like 10 to 30,000 depending on our level of education. So if you're reading a fancy book or a novel or a poem, there's going to be a lot of colorful words they're going to evoke a lot of interesting emotions, a lot of vivid imagery that are really, really going to be nice. And it's nice to have. It's really good to have that in any language, right? To get to that point. But that's not the goal. You can't set that goal for yourself of I want to immediately just read poetry and be able to express everything. No, you need to be able to handle a conversation. So we only need 600 words. Now, when I was telling you about the ancient accelerated learning methods and how they've been around for thousands of years, and there's memory athletes that are using this to memorize crazy amounts of information, right? Like, how many decks of cards are they able to memorize in a couple of hours, do you think? Each deck of cards has...
I know a number popped into my mind, but that's because I heard you speak.
Yeah.
I listened to your audio, and it wasn't the number of decks of cards, but I'll say like 7.
Okay, no, a lot more. They're doing like 40 to 60 decks of cards in a couple of hours. That's over 3,000 random digits. So in a couple of hours, they're memorizing 3,000 random digits, or random cards, and it takes us years to learn 600 words to have a conversation. So the problem isn't with the language. The problem is, actually, a lot of you have mentioned it, it's a brain problem. It's a mind problem. It's blockages. It's limiting false beliefs. It's a broken system that we're taught. And nobody teaches us how to learn properly, so we just stick with this exact same system. So we're going to learn this language. We're going to absorb it. I'm going to download it into your brain. You're not going to need to try to do anything. You're not going to try to memorize. Don't try to hold the information, right? Don't try to take mental notes. It's going to be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable. I'm telling you, I used to give out like a book, and people were like holding it and like taking notes. So now it's just really like no books, no pens, all phones on vibrates. Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah. So it's very important that we just lean into that discomfort and accept it. I mean, worst case scenario, I'm crazy and you're going to waste the weekend. It's not going to work. Worst case scenario, right? Best case scenario, you learn a language in 3 days, right? So you're going to have to try something different, right? The more you're trying to hold on to information, the less you're going to have it. So have some trust and faith in yourself, have some trust and faith in me and in the system, please, right? And also, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make, even leaving here, you're still going to be making some mistakes, and it's still going to take some time for that all to soak in, because your subconscious brain can easily absorb all this information in 3 days. The conscious brain will need to catch up. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like it's not there yet. But then when you're actually answering the questions, you're getting them all right. I've had some people that towards the end of the course are like, I don't feel like I've learned anything. I don't think this is working. I didn't learn anything. And then when I started asking them some questions, they got them all right. So you don't get the impression that you're learning because you're not struggling. It doesn't feel like learning. It doesn't feel painful. So you're like, well, then I must not be learning it. But when you're going to answer the questions, you're going to see that it's all there. So first of all, we're going to see that English and Spanish are very similar. William the Conqueror actually invaded England. And so the Norman conquest for a couple hundred years. So for that time, for a couple hundred years, England was French. The government was in French. Everything was in French. So they actually absorbed thousands of words from the French language, and it's still true today. And luckily for us, French and Spanish are both Romance languages from Latin. So there's over 5,000 words that can easily be translated directly from English into Spanish. So you can have 5,000 words in your Spanish vocabulary just with a couple of tricks. Not bad, right? So it's very important that we need to just relax our ears. Relax our ears, because sometimes we're going to hear a word and we're going to say, no, I don't know that word. No, it's a whole new word. But if you just relax your ears a little bit, you relax your mind, and you just allow yourself to be a little bit more fluid, you're going to say, oh, wait, you just added an E. You just added an O. You just added an A. They like to just add vowels. So if you can add a vowel and create the Spanish equivalent, remove the vowel, change the pronunciation, you have it in English. But if you're too uptight, if you're too stressed, it's not going to flow in. You're not going to understand it. So try to just relax your ears. Now, there's a really cool trick that we can translate a lot of words very, very easily, and it's going to be a two-step approach. All right, first we're going to make the word Canadian, and then we're going to make it Spanish. What are Canadians famous for saying besides I'm sorry? A. Very good. So we're going to take the English word, we're going to add A, the sound A, and then we're going to give it our best Spanish pronunciation, our best accent. So possible, so all the IBLE words will work like this. So possible will become possible A. Possible A. Possible A. Now give me your best Spanish accent. Posible. Excelente. Posible. So yeah. Yeah. I got a lot of buttons here. We're gonna have some fun today. So posible. Also notice the I is pronounced differently. So in English, the letters can be pronounced in a lot of different ways. A can be pronounced in like 8 different ways. Hat, hall, has, hate. But in Spanish, every single letter will always be pronounced in the exact same way. No, there's not really any exceptions to this. So it's very, very straightforward. The I will always come out as a very clear E sound. The I is E. So possible, posible. How would you say terrible? Terrible! Excelente! Terrible. Very good. Also, you'll notice that in Spanish, they're very cheap with their letters. They're very, very, very stingy with their letters. So they try to avoid double letters. So posible will be spelled Posible. All right, posible. Now, the exact same transformation can translate with all the ABLE words. So like, how would you say acceptable, keeping in mind that you want to avoid the double C's? Oh, yeah, so very close, but remember, in English, it's not acceptable, it's acceptable. Yes, louder.
Aceptable.
Aceptable. Excelente. Aceptable. So the A is always pronounced like at the dentist. With a big mouth. Aceptable. Aceptable. Probable.
Probable.
Probable. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if I said probablemente, what might that mean? Probablemente. So it comes from probable, but you're adding a little something at the end.
Probably.
Probably? Yeah, probably. So if you loosen your ears, you hear probablemente, loosen your ears, you say, okay, I can hear probable in there, but there's something longer. So what can I add to probable in English to make it something else? Oh, probably. That's probably right. Very good. So you can translate hundreds of words like this. Now, if you want to say it's, like it is, it's going to sound like just one letter, the letter S. So like if you're pointing up to the sky, what is it? It's a bird, it's a plane, it's S. It's Superman, right? What is that on his chest? It's a big S. It's just S. It's spelled E-S, but it sounds like the letter S. So how would you say it's possible? Es posible! Es posible. Now, if you want to say for me, imagine it's your birthday. It's your birthday and it's a beautiful occasion. Everybody else forgot, but I didn't. I remembered your birthday. I organized a huge parade for you on 5th Avenue. We closed everything down. There's elephants, clowns, balloons, taco stands, everything, the whole 9 yards. A huge parade just for me? Just for me. A huge parade. Parade. What are the first 4 letters of parade? Para. And me is just me. Para mí. So how would you say it's possible for me? So it's
Posible para mí.
Es posible para mí. Excelente. We had our first sentence. Now, in English, to make a negation, there's a few things that we can do. We can say it doesn't, it isn't, it's not. In Spanish, it's the simplest thing in the world. You just throw a no in the beginning. They don't want to beat around the bush. They don't want to try to guess what you're no right in the beginning. So how would you say it's not possible for me? No es posible para mí. Excelente. No es posible para mí. Very good. Now, who has heard the word, have you heard the word dog before in Spanish?
Perro.
Oh, very good. Perro.
Store perro.
You have a...
There's a store perro.
Oh yeah, there's a store thing like cuida el perro or something. Yeah. So actually, double R's are possible in Spanish, but they changed the pronunciation. So dog is Perro. It's easy to remember because a dog's always growling. Perro. So double R's. So perro. And if you want to say but, not as in like but, it's perro. So you can imagine a group of dogs shaking their butts. I like big butts and I cannot lie. You other but yeah, that had to be done. So dog butt, we like perro de perro. I mean, again, it doesn't actually literally mean but in your brain, it doesn't matter. As long as you can remember the association, it doesn't have to make any logical sense. It doesn't have to be real. It's in your brain. It's in your mind. So, perro. How would you say it's not possible for you? Oh, so me is me, you is ti. Para mí, para ti. Para ti, para mí. It rhymes. Para ti, para mí. Tea for you. You want some tea? Coffee? Tea? Mint? Mint tea? Irish tea? So tea. So how would you say it's not possible for you, but it's possible for me?
No es posible para ti, pero es posible para mí.
Eso! So we'll slow it down. So negation right in the front. No. Es posible for you,
Para ti.
but
Perro.
it's possible.
Es posible para mí.
You see? It just sounds complicated, but if you just take a moment to think about it, it's the easiest thing in the world. So we need to understand that we're always going to be trying to complicate the language. Your biggest enemy isn't the Spanish language. Your biggest enemy is always going to be yourself. You're always going to think, oh, there's got to be some complicated way to make this in Spanish. No, just keep it as simple as possible, and most of the time that's the right answer. How would you say it's not acceptable for you? It's not acceptable for me.
No es aceptable para
No es aceptable para
mí.
mí. Excelente. Muy bien. No es aceptable para mí. And if you say it fast, no es aceptable para mí. No es aceptable para mí. Now, it's important when you're speaking with somebody, set expectations. You are in control of the conversation. So right from the beginning, you can say, solo 15 horas clase español. No hablo bien. If you want, in the beginning, right? So then they're going to expect nothing from you. And when they're expecting nothing from you, you're going to impress the hell out of them. Right? So, and it also releases the pressure. It's like if you're nervous for a meeting, you say, all right, I'm very nervous, but let's give it a go. So you express your biggest fear. So you've taken the power away from it. So when people are speaking very fast, in your brain it's going to sound like one long word. So you're not going to understand that word. Right? So you ask them to speak slower so that there's a little bit of pause between each word. Then you'll be able to understand it very easily. That's why when she said it fast, you're like, oh, that's too complicated. But you were able to do it easily. Because you in your head, you took your time and you broke it up. So take control of the conversation. And if they're going to start speeding up, because they're going to see that you're speaking actually very well, so they're going to start speeding up. If you can't understand, just, lo siento, más despacito, por favor. You can just keep it simple. Perfect. So, lo siento, it's I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is lento slow?
Lento is slow. Lento is slow. But you can think of the song Despacito. It's not the perfect word to use, but it's functional. Despacito. Despacio, lento. So lo siento means I'm sorry. It doesn't literally mean like in English, I am sorry. It actually means I feel it. I feel very badly about it. I feel your pain. I feel your suffering. I feel very badly for you. So it's empathy, it's sympathy, it's connection. Lo siento, lo siento, lo siento. And you'll notice that it's actually backwards. It's it, I feel. Lo siento, lo siento, lo siento, lo siento. How would you say, I'm sorry, but?
Lo siento, pero.
Very good. How would you say, I'm sorry, dog? Very good. So lo siento, perro is if you actually accidentally bumped into a dog and you want to apologize to the dog. You can say lo siento, perro. And if you want to say I'm sorry, but, which normally is, there's normally a but involved, you would say,
Lo siento, pero.
very good. How would you say, I'm sorry, but it's not acceptable for me? So I'm sorry,
Lo siento,
but
pero
it's not.
no es posible para mí.
No es posible para mí. Very good. So, lo siento, pero no es posible para mí. Now, there's a really, really useful little word in Spanish. It's a 3-letter word that's used all the time, and it means a lot of things. It can mean like that. It can mean that way, in that manner, in that form. It's just, whenever you're like this, it's así. Así. A-S-I. Así. Maybe you could imagine, I don't know who's your favorite Latin hunk, Enrique Iglesias, Antonio Banderas, or your favorite Latina hunquita. You could imagine them coming up to you and giving you a big spank. By the way, I hope nobody's easily offended. We're going to use a lot of vivid imagery, right? A little bit of sexual connotation, some weird jokes. There's going to be some things that are going to, a little bit weird, that not going to make any sense. So just giving you a heads up. Sometimes, by making it a little sexist or a little bit weird or a little bit, it sticks to much better. It's much, yeah.
I feel like you guys have got to go I'm numbers. So.
Pardon?
It's
Oh,
really, because I'm your number, so it's okay.
yeah.
It's hard to be sexist in a big group full of ladies. It's just something I can try.
So,
I wouldn't so far.
You'll have to imagine Antonio Banderas as well then.
He's a handsome guy.
Yeah. Perfect. So imagine them giving you a big spank on your ass and you scream out, "Ee!" And he says, you like it like that? You like it that way? Ass, ee, ass, ee, ass, ee, ass, ee, así, así. A-S-I. Así. Así. So how would you say, it's not possible for me that way?
No es posible para mí así.
Ooh, very good. How would you say, it's not acceptable for me like that?
No aceptable para mí. Oh.
So take your time. So, what's it's?
Así.
So what's it's?
Es
S. And it's not
no es
acceptable?
aceptable.
Yeah, and remember, make it Canadian. Acceptable.
Aceptable.
What do Canadians say all the time?
A.
Acceptable for me
Para mí.
that way.
Así.
Very good. Excelente. No es aceptable para mí así. Así. Very good. It's important. It's going to be in your brain for the rest of your life. So I apologize in advance. Every time you're going to think of that word, you're going to have that image traumatizing you. PTSD. How do you say, I'm sorry, but
Lo siento, pero
it's not acceptable
no es aceptable
for me
para mí
that way?
así.
Excelente. Now, there's a beautiful thing about the Spanish language. Now, in English, when we want to ask a question, there's a few things we can do, right? We can invert, it is possible, is it possible, or isn't it possible, or doesn't it? There's all these different ways. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret. It's a little bit difficult in Spanish, but once we figure out this little trick, it'll be a lot easier, okay? So there's a very, very, very subtle difference between a statement and a question in Spanish. So I'll have you all close your eyes and just try to maybe pay very, very, very close attention to what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you two sentences. One is a statement, one is a question. Try to see if you can figure out which one is which, okay? ¿Es aceptable para ti? ¿Es aceptable para ti? Did you notice the difference? It was very subtle, right? Which one was the question?
First.
So, ¿es aceptable para ti? ¿Es aceptable para ti? Which one's the question? The second one, right? It's a very natural thing to do to inflect. We do it in English. We do it in most languages. So we're not actually learning an entirely new language from scratch. Most of communication is nonverbal. It's all your hands. It's your expression. It's how you say things, right? Women know that very well. It's not what you said. It's how you said it. So Spanish is very, very much how you say things. So there is no difference between the statement and the question. There is no difference. How simple is that? That's why in writing you have to do the upside down interrogation mark in the beginning of the sentence so you know how to read it. Or else you get to the end and you're like, oh crap, that was a question. Let me go back. So you need that little clue, the hint. So how would you say, is it acceptable for you?
Es aceptable para ti.
Yeah, you see, it was a subtle inflection, but it was very clear. It was very clear. That was a perfect sentence. Es aceptable para ti? You can exaggerate it if you want. Es aceptable para ti? Right? Or you can do it subtle and much more normal, and you get a lot less weird looks. Yeah, but also when you're learning something, it's always very helpful to exaggerate it. Exaggerate the pronunciation, exaggerate the sound, exaggerate the movement, and you're going to learn it a lot faster. Because then when you're in a normal situation, it's just a question of reducing it and bringing it back to normality. Okay? So now here's, how would you say, isn't it acceptable for you?
No es aceptable para ti.
Very good. You just added a no in the beginning. That's it. No es aceptable para ti? How simple is that? No es aceptable para ti? Excelente. Ooh, have you heard of the word why? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Did everybody know that one? Why don't Muslims eat Canadian bacon? Because it's pork, eh? Pork, eh? Pork, eh? So por qué means why. It also means because. So you can imagine like a really weird conversation or argument between a mom and their child. Why? Because. Why? Because. ¿Por qué? 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 So why is it not acceptable for you that way? So why? Isn't it
No es posible.
acceptable
Aceptable.
for you?
Por ti.
Oh, the T was right, but not por, but
Per.
para. Very
Para
good.
ti.
Para ti. That way.
Así.
Wow! So, did everybody notice her face when I asked her the question? It was like, hell no. No way. That's too difficult. I cannot do it, right? So, that's a very natural reaction. It's very natural. And also, you haven't really experienced it yet, but when it starts getting a bit more complex, you'll notice when I'm asking everybody else, you'll have the answer in your head, no problem. When I point to you, you go, and you'll freak out a little bit. That's normal. That's normal. So just accept it. It's going to be your responsibility to just not care. Not care. So if you get it wrong, if you don't get it wrong, it doesn't matter. People don't really care if you get it right or wrong anyway. Everybody's here to learn anyway. So try to just, I mean, it's funny. It adds to your personality, to your charm, right? But have some confidence in yourself. You're getting them all right. You're getting them all right. So, ¿por qué? So, ¿por qué no es aceptable para ti así? ¿Por qué no es aceptable para ti así? ¿Por qué no es aceptable para ti así? Also, when I'm speaking fast, don't try to follow too much. Just, again, relax your ears. Allow it to go in. I'll say it slow, fast, slow again. It's just so you can get a little bit more familiar, a little more comfortable with the slowness. Now, imagine you meet Antonio Banderas, for real, actually. For real. Have you seen that? What was that movie? There was a movie where he dances this dance. You remember what dance he was dancing?
The salsa.
Close. Starts with a T. Tango. Exactly. So imagine you meet Antonio Banderas for real life, and you're walking up to him, and you're actually... So you walk up to him and you're very excited to see him, and you can't control yourself. Your body starts moving and you say, I'm sorry, Antonio, but I have to dance the tango. I have to dance the tango. I have tango in my blood. So you grab him and you're... It's not actually the tango, by the way, but... But so I have to dance the tango because I have tango in my blood. What do you have in your blood? Tango. There's many worse things that you could have in your blood, trust me, especially nowadays. But tango, I have tango in my blood. Tango. So tango is I have. Tango is I have. Tango is I have. Tango, 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 tango. So tango is I have. Lo siento is I feel it. Do you notice any similarities between siento and tengo? Siento and tengo. They end in an O. All verbs in the Spanish language in the first person will end in an O. That's all you need to know. It's super simple. When you just need to put an O at the end, it's first person. And if you see an O, you know it's first person, right? So tango is I have. Tango, tango, tango. Now in English you can say I have, like possession. I have, possession. You can also say I have to. I have to is more of I must, right? It's an obligation. It's something you must do. I have to. Have you heard this Despacito song? Mm-hmm. Do you know what he says? Like, tengo, actually. Tengo que bailar con. So when you add the tengo que, it means I must. So don't forget, there's a distinction between I have and I have to. Tengo and tengo que. Tengo que. Tengo que. Tengo que. Once more. Tengo que bailar contigo hoy. Also, songs are amazing for learning languages. Before I even started learning Spanish, I memorized a couple of songs. And even if you have no idea what you're singing, you're getting the rhythm, the pronunciation, and when you actually start understanding what you're saying, you get to keep all these Lego blocks that are already combined. So if you can remember that song, I mean, they spent millions of dollars, and they're designed to enter your mind and to like be trapped in your brain forever, right? They're designed to be memorable. So use that to your advantage. So if you remember tengo que bailar contigo hoy, you know that today is hoy. Today is hoy, today. Hoy, ve, today is the day. Hoy, you know that contigo, right, is with you. You know that bailar is to dance. Yeah, bailar. What would bailo mean? I dance. It ends with an O. Super simple. Bailo. So bailar, and you know that I have to is tengo. I have to is tengo que. Tengo que. Excelente. Another easy trick. All the ENT and ANT words will do the exact same transformation. We make it Canadian, we make it Spanish. That's it. So different will be diferente. Very good. Diferente. Important becomes oh, importante. Excelente. Now notice how rhythmic it is, right? So it's posible, diferente, importante. You're always rising up on the penultimate syllable, the before last syllable, and then you're landing gently on the ending, right? So it has to sound, has to flow, has to be sexy, right? English is the language of business, French is the language of love, pero español, pasión. And also, we're not actually going to see any like grammatical rules or like verb tables because those are really boring. But there will be some kind of rules sometimes that will pop up. But whenever I ask you why you said something or what the rule is, because it sounds sexy is an acceptable answer. I'm serious, and that's actually for me. It's actually better than the real answer, because when you say it sounds sexier that way, where does that come from? That perception of sexiness. Where is it coming from? Passion and coming from your guts, your intuition, your guts, your subconscious brain, right? There's a reason for which it's sounding sexier, because it's flowing. So your conscious brain can communicate with words, with thoughts. It's very linear. It's very two-dimensional. So if you force information in there over a long period of time, for many months and many years, you'll be able to come up with the word consciously. But at this point, we're learning it subconsciously. So let's follow the advice of our subconscious brain. But it cannot communicate with words. It doesn't have that potential. It communicates with emotions, with feelings, with guts, with intuition. So this is what we need to try to pay attention to. So we need to quiet our minds and listen to what sounds sexier. So very good. Importante. How would you say evident? Oh, so very good point. So in English, ENT and ANT sound almost the same. And so there's a little trick that we can do that has a double benefit. So if we can exaggerate the hell out of the word in English, like make it really weird, like evidente, importante, in your mind, right? So we have the monkey brain is always chatting away anyway. It's always talking, thinking, analyzing, judging, criticizing, and there's an easy way to silence the monkey brain, because you can't force it to shut up, but you can give him a job. You can give him a task, and if he likes it, he'll do it, right? So like meditation, what job do you give the monkey brain? Breathing. Can you focus on my breath? Yeah, I could do that. So it's focusing on the breathing, and it has this little job, and it feels happy, it feels useful. So when we're trying to speak Spanish, sometimes he's being very judgmental. Sometimes he's saying, oh, you're going to have some problems, or you're stupid, you forgot all your Spanish. I still have days where I'm off. And I'm just like, wow, like it's not coming out very nicely. And other days, it's like poetic, and it's flowing out, and people think that I'm Mexican, right? So that never stops. You're always going to have good days and bad days. Obviously, the more comfortable you get, there are a lot more, there are fewer and further in between. But in the beginning, you'll have like one great day. You're like, I'm top of the world. I'm perfectly fluent. I'm amazing. Next day, I'm a moron. I can't speak Spanish at all. Crazy Canadian was a hoax. And then the next day, you're like, oh, I'm on top of the world again. So don't fight it. Just go with the flow. And then you'll see that you'll have a lot more highs and a lot less lows. So when you're giving that job to your monkey brain, he's being less judgmental, but you're also going to be able to better pronounce it in Spanish, because in Spanish, there's a big difference between an E, and an A, So evident is, so you can, in your head, evident. So in Spanish, it would be, oh, but that would be if it was evident. But evident is evident. Keep your mouth closed. Evidente. Evidente. So the ente or ante. Ante. Important. Importante. President. Presidente. Very good. Presidente. Very good. How would you say it's important for me?
Es importante para mí.
Es importante para mí. Very good. Good pronunciation. Es importante para mí. Now, if you want to say very, you can. Oh, good. So mucho is much. It sounds the same. As much as mucho, but you just add a no. Add a no at the end. So it's always, you're very, very likely to guess it correct if you just add a vowel. And then you'll notice over time you'll get better at figuring out if it's an O, if it's an E, or what is it. But yeah, so much is mucho, but very is muy. So you think of somebody who's like really good with Muay Thai. So very good at Muay Thai, very deadly martial art, very difficult to do and very painful, a lot of knees. Very, very, very difficult. Very, very tiring, very intense, and very beautiful as well. Very, very, very. Or you think of a very large cow. Muy. So how would you say it's not very different? So it's not very different.
No es muy diferente.
That way.
Así.
But
Pero.
it's very important.
Oh my gosh.
You're doing great.
Es muy importante para mí.
Wow! Here, hold this and just drop it on the floor. Just drop it. Boom! Crushed it. Very good. No es muy diferente así, pero es muy importante para mí. No es muy diferente así, pero es muy importante para mí. No es muy diferente así, pero es muy importante para mí. No es muy diferente así, pero es muy importante para mí. We'll do a little story time. So everybody close your eyes. Again, this is the same thing as the president's stories. Actually, let's talk about the president's stories. Andrea, do you remember what president was on your feet? Oh, actually, I told you the story a long time ago. Do you remember the president that was on your feet in the story from a few months ago?
I know you had me recall like the last, I don't know,
Yeah.
10 presidents or something.
Okay, well, we did it recently here. So, Vero, do you remember what happened to your feet?
They were on fire.
Why were they on fire?
John Travolta.
John.
So John.
John, very good. So, John through the sun. Do you remember what happened to your knees? The nicks were on your knees. Very good. Do you remember your legs? Your thighs? Fords. Very good. Do you remember your bum? What were you sitting on?
A chair.
How did you leave the beach to get to McDonald's?
Golf cart.
Yes, cart. Very good. The cart, Carter.
Carter.
Very good. Where was your stomach guiding you?
To McDonald's, so
Ronald Reagan. Very good. Ronald Reagan. What happened to your chest? Burning. And what was growing out of your chest? Bush. Very good. Very good. Bush. How were your shoulders feeling when you got home? You touch your shoulders? Relax. Yeah. What was blocking the front door? A lifeline?
What was walking in the door? Oh gosh.
And why were you so relaxed after such a crazy day? What changed your mindset?
Oh, the bills.
The Bills! The Bills! Bill Clinton. Very good. And you remember what was on your chin?
I was growing another bush.
Another bush, the goatee. Very good. Do you remember what your mouth? Do you remember what your mouth was saying? Or do you? But do you remember the president?
Yeah.
Who is it? Obama. And do you remember what your eyes? Trump. Very good. So we got all 10 U.S. presidents. So remember how important it is to create vivid imagery, crazy details, make it come to life. So close your eyes and be ready for the craziness. So you wake up in the morning. You're startled by this crazy ruckus outside, this huge growl, this huge noise. So you're very frightened, you're startled, you run towards the window and you open the curtains and you look outside. The first thing that you see in the morning, the first thing that you see is you see bear. This huge 30-meter tall, enormous albino grizzly bear, or it might have been a polar bear, I don't know, but this white bear, 30 meters tall, huge, just wreaking havoc, destroying whatever's outside, the trees, the cars, the fences, whatever is there. He's having a very emotional day. And the bear has the most boring name in the world. The bear's name is Bear. Very creative parents. So first thing you see in the morning is you see bear, bear sees you. You see bear, bear sees you. You see bear, bear sees you. What do you see? Bear, very good. So you freak out, you turn around, you get the hell out of Dodge, you run out the front door, the back door, whatever's furthest away from this crazy bear, and as you get outside, you get arrested by the German Nazi police. So they handcuff you, they blindfold you, they throw you in the back of their Nazi Mercedes, and they drive you down to God knows where. Now you're tied to this metal chair in this cold, dark, clammy basement, and he removes the blindfold, and you're very, very frightened. And there, right in front of you have Hans, full Nazi military uniform, blonde hair, blue eyes, smoking a cigarette, and he puts it out in your hand. He says, "Tell me, what do you know about the bear? What do you know about the bear? The bear, the bear. Was it a sad bear? Was it a sad bear? Sad bear crying, sad bear? What do you know about the bear? Very good. Very good. So open your eyes. What do you see in the morning? You see?
The bear.
Yeah, but what's the bear's name? Bear. You see bear. Bear. To see is bear. What do you know about? What do you know about? But what's the accent?
The bear.
The bear. The bear. Maybe it was a saber-toothed tiger if you want. It could be a saber-toothed tiger. Maybe it had a lightsaber. Or maybe that bear was sabering a champagne, a bottle of champagne. You can create whatever you want. So to see is bear, and to know is saber. Very good. So in the story, it sounds like zaber. In reality, it's with an S. You say, well, Phil, it's not exactly correct. It's not zaber, it's saber. I make the rules. Excelente. So on that note, we'll take a little break and get some sugar, some energy, and we'll reconvene in 10 minutes. Get some música going.